On the morning my husband asked me for space, I found a pale pink newborn onesie stuffed deep inside his gym bag, still with the price tag attached and a smudge of unfamiliar lipstick on the collar. The faint vanilla perfume radiating from it didn't belong to me. I hadn't worn anything remotely sweet in years. And I wasn't pregnant. I wasn't even trying to be. That tiny piece of fabric felt like a blade pressed directly against my ribs, because it wasn't just a clue, it was a message. I stood frozen in the laundry room, staring at that onesie like it was ticking. My daughter was in the next room humming to herself while building a Lego tower, and I couldn't even take a full breath without feeling like the ground under my feet was sliding away. The onesie wasn't innocent. Someone wanted me to see it. Someone wanted me to feel threatened. Someone wanted me to know she existed. And Daniel didn't even bother hiding it properly. He said he was going to the gym. He said he needed an early start. He said we'd talk tonight, like he was preparing for a controlled demolition of our marriage. He didn't realize I already found the wreckage before he even lit the fuse. I held the onesie up to the light. Tiny, delicate, pink embroidery around the neckline. Brand new. A boutique item, expensive enough that it wasn't purchased casually. And the perfume, God, that cheap, sugary vanilla, was strong enough to be a declaration. I checked the bag again. A receipt was tucked into a side pocket, folded once. When I opened it, the bottom of my stomach flipped. Blossom Boutique, congratulations, Mama. Printed with cheerful pink ink as if mocking me. Purchased by Daniel Wright. 2 days ago. 8:12 p.m. He wasn't even trying to hide his tracks. People think the moment they discover their partner's betrayal is loud, explosive, dramatic. For me, it was silent. Dead silent. Like time stretched and snapped all at once. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Instead, a cold clarity washed over me, the kind I only ever felt during high-pressure boardroom deals. I wasn't going to crumble. I wasn't going to lose the life I built. I wasn't going to lose my family. Not without exposing every truth Daniel thought he could bury. I walked into the kitchen. Denise, our gossip-loving neighbor, was outside pretending to water the same patch of grass she'd been nurturing for 3 years. She glanced up at my window, squinting with curiosity. She sensed something. That woman could smell drama through insulated walls. Let her look. Let her speculate. Let her be the first to witness the storm brewing. My phone buzzed on the counter. Daniel. I wiped my expression clean and answered. His hey came out too controlled, too rehearsed. I nodded silently to myself. Classic. We need to talk tonight, he said. I think, maybe we should take a break. Just some time apart. I stared at the onesie in my hand. A break for what? I asked. Just space. To think. To think about what, Daniel? It's complicated. No, it wasn't. Men only said it's complicated when it was actually the simplest equation on earth, another woman. A fantasy. A thrill he thought he deserved. A delusion he convinced himself was destiny. You're seeing someone, I said. He inhaled sharply, barely noticeable, but I caught it. I don't want to talk about this over the phone. Of course he didn't. Liars rarely do. When you get home, I said softly, I want the truth. When I hung up, I didn't feel fear. I felt strategy. That old, fierce, calculating version of me, the one who built my company from nothing, rose from the ashes. My heartbeat steadied. My mind sharpened. Betrayal hurts, yes, but it also awakens something primal in strong women, the instinct not to flee, but to hunt. My daughter walked in, holding her doll. Mama, can you braid her hair? The innocence in her eyes hit me harder than the onesie did. I knelt beside her and braided the doll's synthetic hair with steady hands while inside me a fire was spreading across every bone in my body. My child deserved the stability I fought for. And no delusional perfume-drenched stranger was going to steal that from her. When I dropped her at school, I drove straight to Blossom Boutique. Lavender air freshener, soft acoustic music, walls lined with pastel baby clothes, the whole store radiated smug, curated motherhood aesthetic. The cashier, Marlene, looked up when I entered. Her eyes flicked with recognition, exactly the look of someone who'd recently witnessed something scandalous. "Hi," I said, polite but firm. "My husband bought a gift here 2 days ago." "Of course," she said, typing quickly. "Name?" "Daniel Wright." Her fingers froze over the keyboard. She swallowed once. "He, bought a newborn item." "Yes," I said. "I saw it." She hesitated. "There was someone with him." "How far along is she?" I asked, voice steady. Her silence confirmed everything. "They seemed excited," she whispered. She kept calling him Danny. And she held the onesie against her stomach and said, "This will be the first thing our daughter wears." My jaw tightened, but my voice didn't tremble. "Did she look visibly pregnant?" Another pause. "I'm not allowed to say." Which meant, not at all. I stepped out of Blossom Boutique with a new target in mind. The woman's name slipped from Marlene earlier in a nervous mutter, Victoria. And the universe must have been aligning itself for me, because just as I got into my car, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. The message read, "She's not who he thinks she is. She's lying. And she's dangerous." Before I could process it, another message came in. "Check the hospital records from last month." My blood chilled. Whoever this was, they weren't random. They knew something. Something Daniel didn't know. Something she didn't want anyone to know. I drove straight to Northside Hospital. Walked up to the desk. Gave them her name, Victoria. "She claims she's pregnant with my husband's child," I said. The clerk's eyes filled with sympathy, the universal female look of another one of us dealing with another one of them, and she pulled the file. My heart almost stopped. Victoria had been treated for a psychological pregnancy delusion. Not pregnant. Not ever pregnant. Her mind had invented the child. The symptoms. The imagined future. She had done this before. She had targeted a married man last year. The man who texted me, he was her previous obsession. The floor didn't fall out beneath me. I didn't collapse. Instead, a terrifying calm washed over me. Because this wasn't just cheating. This was manipulation. Obsession. Predation. And Daniel, in all his naive arrogance, walked straight into her delusion like a welcome mat. As I sat in the hospital parking lot, staring at the medical record, my phone rang again. "Daniel. I'm coming home," he said. "We need to talk. I think I'm leaving tonight." Leaving. He said it like he was stepping into a golden future. He had no idea he was walking into the truth. "Come home," I said, my voice smooth and deadly calm. "Tonight changes everything." Because it would. Not just for him. Not just for me. But for the fantasy world Victoria built brick by psychotic brick. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt something powerful surge up my spine, something every betrayed woman knows intimately when she finally regains control. This was the moment I stopped reacting. And started planning. Daniel walked through the front door at 7:52 p.m., shoulders slumped like a man dragging his own execution behind him. The sky outside had that dark, restless look, storm clouds wrestling with streetlights, matching the heaviness of the house he just stepped into. He dropped his keys onto the counter and opened his mouth to speak, but what came out wasn't a sentence. It was a sigh. A long, exhausted, guilty sigh. I stood in the doorway between the kitchen and living room, arms crossed, the hospital record resting on the table behind me. But I didn't even need the paper anymore. The truth lived inside me now, sharper than any weapon. When Daniel looked at me, I saw a flicker of confusion, like he expected tears, begging, heartbreak. He didn't expect calm. Men like him never do. Sit down, I said. He blinked. Can we talk first? We are talking, I said. Sit. He obeyed without a second thought. Funny how quickly a man who thinks he holds all the power loses at the moment he realizes he's being confronted by someone who knows more than he does. He sat. I didn't. He exhaled. I didn't want it to be like this. I didn't want to hurt you. My jaw tightened, but my voice didn't shake. Then you shouldn't have lied. His eyes darted to the floor. I needed something different. Something new. Things have been difficult between us. Difficult, I repeated quietly. So you bought a newborn onesie for a woman you barely know. His face twitched. You went through my things? Oh, Daniel, I said with a soft, cutting smile, you left the truth lying around like confetti. You wanted it to be found. He opened his mouth to object, but stopped when I placed the hospital folder on the table. His eyes narrowed. Fear flickered. What is that? He whispered. Reality, I said. Something you've been avoiding. He swallowed. What are you talking about? I slid the file toward him with one finger. Open it. He hesitated, then opened it. And I watched the color drain right out of him. First confusion. Then disbelief. Then something far darker, shame. She's not pregnant, he whispered. No, I said. She was never pregnant. He shook his head slowly, as if trying to physically push the truth away. She showed me ultrasounds. Stolen, I said. From a Facebook group. Did you really think a woman who refused to meet your family, avoided being seen in public with you, and never let you attend a single doctor's appointment was actually carrying your child? His voice cracked. She told me she was 8 weeks along. And she told 5 other men the same thing last year. His head snapped up. What? She has a documented psychological pregnancy delusion, I said. She convinces herself she's pregnant. She builds fantasies. She creates entire worlds where the men she chooses belong to her. He stared at me, horrified. How do you know all this? I pulled out my phone, opened the messages from the blocked number, and handed it to him. That's how. He read each message slowly, lips parted. She's dangerous. She's lying. She did this to another married man last year. Check the hospital. He looked up at me like a child who finally understood the monster under the bed was real. Who sent those? He whispered. The man she obsessed over before you, I said. She destroyed his life. He found me to warn me before she destroyed ours. He covered his face with his hands. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. Silence thickened between us like fog. He finally spoke again, voice shaking. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're sorry, I said. I care if you understand what happens next. Just then, like a movie cue, a knock echoed through the house. 3 soft taps. Controlled. Familiar. Daniel's entire body tensed. His head jerked toward the door. That's her, he whispered. I felt something electric move through me. Perfect. He rose from his seat, but I placed a hand on his chest and pushed him back down. You stay, I said. I'll handle her. He didn't argue. He didn't move. He didn't dare. I walked to the door, inhaled deeply once, and opened it just a crack. Victoria stood there wearing an oversized sweater, hair disheveled, mascara smudged under hollow eyes. She looked fragile. But there was an intensity behind her that made the hairs on my arms stand up. Her voice was soft, trembling. Is Danny here? Why? I asked. We need to talk about. She placed her hand on her stomach. Our baby. There was no bump. Not even the illusion of one. You're not pregnant, I said plainly. Her eyes darkened instantly. Yes, I am. No, I repeated. You're not. You're jealous, she hissed. He told me everything. He told me you were cold. Controlling. Manipulative. He said he loved me. I'm sure he said a lot of things, I said calmly. Men usually do when they're chasing a fantasy. Her breathing quickened. He told me we were a family. Your mind told you that, I said softly. She blinked rapidly, as if trying to stabilize reality. You stole him from me, she whispered. You can't steal something that isn't real. The front door behind me opened. Daniel's voice was small, unstable. Victoria. She froze. Her face crumbled. You said you loved me, she whispered. I didn't know, he said, voice cracking. You said she meant nothing. I didn't know you were sick. The word sick detonated in the air. Victoria's entire body stiffened, then started shaking. I'm not sick, she whispered sharply. We're having a baby. A girl. I stepped between them. No, I said. You're not. And you need help. She looked at me with such raw hatred that it felt like a living force between us. This isn't over, she whispered. She turned, ran to her car, and sped off, tires screeching. Inside, Daniel collapsed at the kitchen table. Shoulders shaking. Hands trembling. I destroyed everything, he whispered. Yes, I said. You did. But, he lifted his head slowly, what do I do now? This was the moment. The power shift. The reclaiming. You rebuild, I said. Piece by piece. Day by day. You go to therapy. We go to counseling. You cut all contact with her. You tell me the truth every single time I ask. And you sleep in the guest room until I decide otherwise. He nodded like a soldier accepting orders from a higher authority. I'll do anything, he whispered. I know, I said. And for the first time in months, he finally understood something important. I wasn't the woman he betrayed. I was the woman he underestimated. And that was far, far worse. The morning after Victoria appeared at our door, the entire house felt different. Not quieter, just heavier. Like every wall remembered her voice and refused to let the echo fade. I woke before sunrise, staring at the ceiling, knowing my life had cracked open, but somehow, I was still the only one standing firmly on my feet. Daniel had slept in the guest room just like I told him to. I heard him tossing and turning all night, probably reliving every foolish decision he made. Meanwhile, I slept like someone who had finally regained control of her world. I stood in the kitchen, sipping coffee, when Daniel walked in. His hair was messy, face pale, eyes swollen. He looked like a man who realized the ground he stood on was no longer his. He opened his mouth to say something, but I stopped him simply by raising a finger. Not now, I said. Eat something. You look like you're about to pass out. He nodded and sat down silently, like a reprimanded student. I watched him avoid eye contact, hands trembling slightly as he poured cereal. The man who once strutted around with an inflated ego was gone. Replaced by someone humbled, frightened, aware. I didn't enjoy his pain. I wasn't cruel. But I did enjoy the shift, finally watching him understand just how deeply he had disrupted the balance of our home. Shock has a way of aging a person overnight, and Daniel looked 10 years older than he did yesterday. Before he finished eating, a text buzzed on my phone. An unknown number again, but not blocked this time. The message read, "She's unstable. You need to protect yourself. She's not done." My chest tightened. Not out of fear. Out of readiness. This wasn't over, and I knew it. Women like Victoria don't disappear because of a single confrontation. Delusion doesn't break in a day. It cracks in phases. And cracked people cling hardest when they feel reality slipping away. I typed back, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "Someone who's been where you are." I stared at the screen for a moment, processing. If this person was telling the truth, then Victoria had done this before. Repeatedly. She probably followed patterns: obsess, fabricate, pursue, implode. And the men she targeted? They probably all believed they were the exception until their worlds fell apart. I glanced at Daniel. He was still eating silently, oblivious to the message. I didn't tell him. Not yet. I needed to handle this with precision. After dropping off my daughter at school, I drove straight to the police station. If Victoria escalated even slightly, I needed a record in place. The officer listened carefully as I explained everything. I showed him the hospital documents, the messages, the boutique receipt, even the photos I took of the onesie. He took notes, nodding in that slow, measured way officers do when they take something seriously. "This woman has a history," he said. "You're doing the right thing documenting it now." I left with a report number, and a strange sense of calm. Fear didn't have space inside me. Only strategy. Only fire. When I got home, Daniel was sitting on the couch with his head in his hands. He looked up when I entered, guilt splattered across his expression. "Where were you?" he asked. "Handling things," I said. He stood up, voice cracking. "I'm scared." "You should be," I said. "But not of me. Of the consequences you invited into our home." He swallowed. "Can you help me fix this?" I didn't answer immediately. I let the silence stretch. Let him feel it. Let the weight of his actions settle into his bones. "We'll fix it," I said finally. "But it won't be quick, and it won't be easy. You don't get to take shortcuts out of this. You face what you brought in." He nodded slowly, like he accepted a sentence. Later that afternoon, the doorbell rang. I froze. Daniel froze. We exchanged a look, fear flickering in his. "Don't," I said. "Stay back." He nodded while I walked to the window. But this time, it wasn't Victoria. It was Denise, her hands wrapped around a casserole dish, her face plastered with the kind of concerned cheerful expression only nosy suburban neighbors can master. "I heard there was, well, some shouting last night," she said softly, leaning in like she expected me to whisper a confession. "Everything okay?" People like Denise don't ask because they care. They ask because drama fuels them. And normally, I would have brushed her off, but I suddenly realized something: Victoria might return when we least expect it. And if Denise wanted to monitor our house like a hawk? Perfect. Free neighborhood security. So I forced a grateful smile. "We're fine, just a stressful night. Family things." She nodded, eyes sharp with interest. "If you need anything, I'm right next door. And I look out my window often." "I know," I said. "And trust me. I appreciate that." Her ego inflated instantly. Insightful people know how to weaponize suburban vanity. After she left, Daniel approached me slowly. "You're calm," he said. "Too calm." "I'm choosing strategy over chaos," I said. "You should try it sometime." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Do you hate me?" "Hate is a waste of energy," I said. "I'm using mine to protect our daughter." He nodded, tears forming. "I don't deserve you." "That is correct," I said. "But you're still here. And you're going to prove why I should keep you here." I turned away before he could say anything else. That evening, I worked late in my home office. Daniel knocked softly before stepping inside. He looked steadier than before, but his eyes revealed he was walking on emotional eggshells. "I need to tell you something," he said. I looked up from my laptop. "Then tell me." He swallowed hard. "When she showed me the onesie, she cried. Real tears. She held my hand and said she felt our daughter kicking. She described the heartbeat. The cravings. The morning sickness." I believed her. I thought maybe the universe was giving me something new. I'm ashamed to say it, but I liked feeling needed like that. His voice shook, not with defensiveness, but with a kind of broken honesty. And I was lonely, he whispered. I felt disconnected from you. I didn't react. I didn't give him the emotional payoff he was silently begging for. Lonely men don't walk into delusions unless they want to be convinced, I said. But that doesn't absolve you. It just explains the weakness she latched onto. He nodded miserably. Do you think she'll come back? Yes, I said. Delusion doesn't let go easily. That night, I barely slept, not out of fear, but from planning. I checked the locks twice. Sat by the window once. Scrolled through my phone waiting for another message. Every sense in my body felt heightened. At 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. She's watching you. My pulse didn't quicken, but a cold, sharp sensation settled in my stomach. I looked out the window. The street was quiet. But quiet doesn't mean safe. Quiet means waiting. I went straight to the guest room. Daniel sat upright, startled. What happened? He asked. She might come back, I said. And if she does, we need to be ready. He nodded, fear flashing in his eyes. What do we do? He whispered. I stood tall, shoulders squared, voice steady as steel. We fight smart, I said. We fight together. And we remind her, and you, that this is my home. My family. My life. And I don't lose. The next 48 hours moved like thick smoke, slow, disorienting, heavy with something left unsaid. Daniel hovered around the house like a shadow, unsure where to sit, where to stand, what to say. Every sound startled him. Every car passing by made him tense. He checked the windows, then checked them again. For the first time, he understood what it felt like to live with consequences instead of excuses. But me? I stayed steady. Strategy kept my hands from shaking, my voice from cracking, my mind from drifting into panic. You don't let someone unhinged dictate the rhythm of your fear. You dictate theirs. On the third night, just after I put our daughter to bed, I stood by the kitchen window and saw Denise outside, pretending to check her mailbox for the 5th time that day. She was scanning the street, eyes darting around like prey sensing a predator. She spotted me through the window and gave a concerned little wave. I almost laughed. She didn't know what danger she was hoping to catch sight of, only that drama was unfolding and she had front row seats. Daniel walked in quietly. I can't sleep. You shouldn't, I said. Not until this is over. He ran a hand through his hair. Do you think she'll come back? I stared out into the dim street lights. Yes. Obsession doesn't fade. It snaps. He swallowed hard. I'm scared of her. You're scared of the reflection of your own stupidity, I corrected. But that's good. Fear keeps you alert. He nodded miserably, then sank into a chair. Around midnight, after Daniel retreated to the guest room, I stepped outside onto the front porch. The night air was crisp, humming with crickets and something heavier, anticipation. I sensed the wrongness before I saw it. A car parked 3 houses down. Dark. Still. Lights off. She was here. I didn't panic. I didn't retreat. I simply went back inside, locked the deadbolt, and walked slowly to the guest room. She's outside, I said. Daniel shot up. What? Now? Are you sure? Yes. His hands trembled uncontrollably. What do we do? We let her make her move, I said calmly. And then we end this. The fear in his eyes turned to something else, trust. Trust he should have had from the beginning. Trust that came too late but still mattered now. Minutes passed, 10, 20, 30. The house stayed silent, the kind of silence that folds itself into your ears until it becomes a weight. And then, just after 12:43 a.m., the doorbell rang. One soft chime. Not desperate. Not panicked. Intentional. Daniel froze. Oh God. Stay here, I said, my voice like cold stone. I walked to the door. Looked through the peephole. Victoria stood barefoot on my porch, wearing a long, oversized sweater that hung off her shoulders. Her hair was wild, her eyes empty and dark, like someone caught between reality and fantasy with no map out. She was cradling something in her arms. My heart struck once, but not with fear. With clarity. It wasn't a baby. It was the onesie. She had wrapped it in a blanket like an actual infant. I opened the door just enough to step outside. Then firmly closed it behind me. Her eyes locked onto mine. You ruined everything, she whispered. No, I corrected softly. I revealed everything. She held the onesie closer to her chest, trembling. Danny said he loved me. Danny lied, I said. He lied to you, and he lied to himself, and now he's facing the truth. Something you're not ready to do. Her lips quivered. We had a baby. There was never a baby, I said evenly. Just an idea. A painful one. A confusing one. But not real. She shook her head violently. No. I felt her. I felt her kick. That's the delusion, I said. That's the part that hurts the most. But you're not alone. You've been here before. Her eyes flinched. A direct hit. I know about the man before Daniel, I continued softly. The one you thought you were having a baby with last year. The one who blocked you. Who changed his number. The one who warned me. Her face twisted, first in shock, then in humiliation, then in rage. You think you're better than me, she hissed. You think you're strong. But you're just hiding behind him. Oh no, I said slowly. I'm standing in front of him. Her breathing grew erratic. He belongs to me. No, I said. He doesn't even belong to himself yet. But he will. After therapy. After accountability. After rebuilding what he broke. She blinked rapidly. He chose me. He chose a fantasy, I said. And fantasies crumble when the truth steps forward. I stepped closer, not aggressively, but with a calm force that made her back up a single step. Victoria, I said, my voice steady and low, you need help. Real help. Your mind is hurting you. It's creating stories you can't escape from. But none of them are true. Not the baby. Not the relationship. Not the future you imagined with him. She clutched the onesie like it might disappear. I was going to be a mom. My chest tightened, not with pity, but with recognition. Even broken people crave love. Even delusions grow from soil made of loneliness. You can still be who you want to be, I said gently. But not like this. Not by forcing someone into a role they never agreed to. Her breath hitched. Tears finally formed. He said I was special. You are sick, I corrected quietly. And you know that. Deep down, you know that. And getting help isn't weakness. It's survival. She looked past me, toward the door, like she expected Daniel to appear and rescue her from reality. But I stepped into her line of sight and blocked that fantasy from forming. It's over, I said. You need to leave. No. She hugged the onesie tighter. I won't let you take him. I'm not taking him, I said. You already lost him. To the truth. Something inside her snapped, not into violence, but into exhaustion. Her shoulders sagged. The onesie slipped from her hands and fell to the porch. She stared at it for a long moment, trembling. Then she whispered, I don't know what's real anymore. I nodded once. That's why you need help. The patrol car arrived silently, 2 officers stepped out, approaching with calm professionalism. I had already contacted them when the unknown number warned me earlier. They knew her history. They knew the danger of delusional breaks. They approached slowly, gently, speaking to her in soft tones. Victoria didn't fight. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She simply allowed them to guide her away, broken, exhausted, unraveling. When the car doors closed and the siren stayed silent as they drove her to psychiatric evaluation, the night felt heavier. Not darker. Heavier. Like the weight of everything finally pressed down, but not to crush me, just to confirm I was still standing. I walked inside. Daniel was waiting in the hallway, shaking. "Is she gone?" he whispered. "Yes," I said. "Is she okay?" "She will be," I replied. "She'll get help. Real help." He collapsed into a chair, face buried in his hands. "I'm so sorry. I can't believe I brought this into our home." "You didn't bring it," I said. "You opened the door." "But I closed it." He looked up at me, tears streaming. "What do I do now?" I stepped toward him, not to comfort him, but to confront him. "You fix yourself," I said. "Completely. You rebuild trust from scratch. You obey boundaries. You go to therapy. You show up for this family every single day. No shortcuts. No excuses." He nodded, shattered. "I will. I promise." "I know you will," I said. And for the first time, he understood. He didn't earn forgiveness. He earned responsibility. Later that night, when the house was quiet again, I stood alone in the hallway, feeling the echo of every chaotic moment that had led us here. But instead of shaking, I felt powerful. Daniel broke. Victoria collapsed. But I remained. Strong. Sharp. Unmoved by delusion. Unbroken by betrayal. And as I turned off the last light in the house, I whispered to myself, not in weakness, but in victory. I didn't lose anything. They lost me. And that was the truth. The final, undeniable truth.